Alright, here we go. If you haven't seen Renee Moses' latest videos, she pointed out how from January 20th, 2017, the day Donald Trump was sworn in, Inauguration Day, actually until July 2nd, which is today, 2020. Today is the 1,260th day. So actually from January 20th, 2017 to July 3rd is 1,260 days, because today is day 1,260. All right. And that kind of points to like a midpoint type thing, a midway kind of thing, because if you remember, it was from January 20th, 2009 until March 22nd, 2013, the day that Obama committed the abomination of desolation, when he stood in the holy place where it should not be, which was the Church of the Nativity in Israel, in Bethlehem. That was exactly 1,260 days. All right. From the same day of Trump's inauguration, January 20th, 2017, till August 2nd, 2020, is 1,290 days. Now, August 2nd is significant because 8 years ago, in 2012, again a connection to Barack Obama, that was the day when the steel beam that Obama signed, "We remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger," that's the day that it was placed into the 104th floor of the One World Freedom Tower. Okay, the One World Freedom Tower in New York City, the steel beam Obama signed with the WWW, which in Hebrew is Vav Vav Vav, which is 666, on the beam that went into the 104th floor. We talked about that stuff already. It was placed in there on August 2nd, 2012. And that was exactly 1,290 days after Obama was sworn in his first inauguration. And that was a fulfillment of Daniel chapter 12, I believe it's verse 11, that says, from the time that the daily, if the word is, it's just the daily, which is the oath of office, was taken away, which was the abomination, Barack Obama being sworn into office, until the abomination of desolation is set up, which was the One World Freedom Tower with 666 in New York, is 1,290 days. And I told you guys already how, now that was the day it was placed into the tower. But the day Obama wrote that on the beam, he wrote the 666, was Donald Trump's birthday. It was June 14th, 2 months before it went into the tower. It was on Trump's birthday, June 14th. Okay? So now, we have a fulfillment here of the 1,260 days connected to Trump's inauguration, and the 1,290 days connected to Trump's inauguration. And remember, Trump's inauguration represented Barack Obama, the sixth king, being removed, a political head wound, him being removed, and Trump being given power. Now, here is the incredible revelation that I wanted to get to here. And when the Lord showed me this, like I said, I couldn't believe it, because I said to myself, why did I not see this before? All right. Remember, actually go with me to the book of James, chapter 5. We'll go there together. Now in James chapter 5, verse 17, no coincidence that it's 17, connected to Trump. Listen to this. It says, Elias, which was Elijah, was a man subject to passions as we are. He was human as we are. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. Now, Donald Trump is a type, like I said, of John the Baptist. Elijah would be us, the bride of Christ, because Elijah was only the second person ever to be raptured. He escaped the judgment that was spoken upon him by Jezebel. She vowed to kill him. He escaped that judgment, and it then got passed down by the person who picked up his mantle way down the road, down through the generations, to his descendant, John the Baptist. And John the Baptist received the curse that was spoken on Elijah by Jezebel. John the Baptist's head was cut off. Elijah escaped it because he was raptured. Just like Christians who are left behind are going to have their heads cut off. But the faithful bride of Christ that has oil in her lamp will escape that judgment. Okay, so Elijah represents us. This is why we have always been connected to Trump. Donald Trump has been, regardless of what you may think of him, he's been the most benevolent, friendliest president towards Christians and Israel, God's two people, Gentiles and Jews. He's been the most benevolent president towards those two groups. We would be Elijah. We are the ones who pray the fervent prayers that causes heaven to act, that causes action from God. We have God's ear because we are serving God. So Elijah prayed and the rain was stopped. The rain was stopped because Elijah wanted to show the people that Baal was not God. The people were worshiping Baal, connection to Barack Obama. And Elijah prayed to show the people that that was not the true God, to stop sacrificing their children to this God, stop committing abominations in the name of this God, because he was a false God. And the rain was stopped, and that lasted for 3 years and 6 months. Now, on Inauguration Day, 2017, there were two men who spoke on that day, and this was very significant, what was pointed out by both men on that day, and I'm going to take you back to that day right now. All right, I'm reading this from an article I looked up and I found it. And again, I don't know how I forgot this. It always stayed with me what happened that day that Trump was inaugurated. But somehow I never bothered to make the connection between where we are right now until the Lord told me to remember that day and look back at it. Here we go. This is the words of Franklin Graham, son of Billy Graham. We all know who that is. The words of Franklin Graham from his book, I believe it's called Through My Father's Eyes. All right. And this is what he said. He said, speaking at Donald Trump's inauguration Friday, this is what happened, actually. North Carolina-based evangelist Franklin Graham said his prayer was that God would bless the new president, his family, his administration, and may he bless America. But Graham began with an ad lib. He said, Mr. President, listen to this. In the Bible, rain is a sign of God's blessing. And it started to rain, Mr. President, when you came to the platform. Now, I stopped there for a minute. I paused for a minute because some of you are getting this already. When Trump came to the platform for his speech, it began to rain. And it was pointed out by Franklin Graham. But it was also pointed out by Rabbi Marvin Heyer, who is a rabbi from a Jewish congregation, I believe, in Los Angeles. He also pointed it out that rain was also a sign of God's blessing. So you see what God did. God had a Gentile and a Jew to point out that when King number 7, Trump, came to the podium to speak, it began to rain. Remember, Elijah prayed that there would be no rain during the time that he was prophesying, that there would be no rain of what would happen. And also, I wanted to also say that in the last video, I said that Elijah called down fire, came down from heaven and destroyed the prophets of Baal. Actually, Elijah rounded them up and had them put to death. The fire that came down, or the lightning that came down, is what cooked the calf that he had put on the altar. So I apologize for that error I made. He actually had them rounded up and killed. But anyway, going back to this. So Elijah prayed that the rain would be stopped. Well, I'll take you down here. This is what I never thought to put together. From January 20th, 2017 until this month, and to be exact, July 20th, 2020 is exactly 3 years and 6 months. Now, here's the thing. July 20th is the new moon of the 5th month on the Jewish calendar, which is the month of Av. It would be Av 1st, the 1st of Av. That is significant because That is the beginning of the 9 days leading, the days leading up to the 9th of Av. And for 3 consecutive years in 2008, 2009, and 2010, on the 1st of Av, there was a total solar eclipse. 3 years in a row on that day, the 1st of Av. And July 20th this year is the 1st of Av. And it is exactly 3 years and 6 months after the inauguration of Donald Trump, which was pointed out by 2 witnesses, a Gentile and a Jew. So what you have is God making the connection of the time of Elijah and this man, Donald Trump, but also pointing to 2 witnesses. You see, I've told you guys all along that the 2 witnesses, it is 2 groups of people, but God was making the connection to show us that the time of the 2 witnesses, meaning the rapture and the beginning of the prophesying of the 2 witnesses, because the 2 witnesses are just left behind Christians and left behind Messianic Jews, that time would begin after 3 years and 6 months after Trump was sworn in. We were being shown that day when the last Trump would end. His time would be 3 years and 6 months. God was connecting him to Elijah. Now, I'm going to make a 3rd video showing you how it also connects to Noah as further proof of this. This in itself is incredible when I saw it, but I'm going to show you how it connects to Noah. All right, the connections to Trump and Noah. God is showing us with flashing lights or blinding lights, trying to get our attention. He was pointing us all along to July of 2020. Even from that day, the day the man was inaugurated, he was pointing us ahead 3 years and 6 months, telling us to look at the connection of the rain, which connects to Elijah. But in the Bible, there are 2 men directly connected to rain. If I said to you what 2 men have a direct connection to rain pouring down, you would say Elijah, but you would also say Noah. Now let's get to part 3, and I'm going to show you how this connects to Noah also.